Hey everyone, this is Vlad, and in this video I want to share with you why I believe that the jaw sizer and even jaw exercise in general are a waste of time. And not only that, but also why doing them could end up doing more harm than good. Now I know some of you might not agree with me or not even like what I have to say, because there are some well-known individuals on the internet that have been actively using those products or at least talking positively about them. So people like Joe Rogan or Andrew Huberman, which I'm sure you are familiar with.
I have a device that I use, but it's basically like a half of a rubber ball that I put in my mouth and I bite down on and I do reps.
Now there's the Jawzerciser is really big in Hollywood. These like things where like
bouncy mouthpiece.
yeah, where they change your facial structure. They dilate the nasal passages. It completely changes the structure of the face in just 2-3 months.
But I would still suggest for you to listen to what I have to say, and maybe after watching this full video you can get a different perspective. So the very first place I would like us to begin with is for us to understand and examine how the human body has evolved throughout the thousands of years. So in nature, there are specific traits that help us survive and reproduce, and those traits usually tend to stick around with us. And vice versa, there are also traits that don't or aren't really necessary for our survival, and those traits tend to slowly fade away within the next generations. Now, this process that I'm describing right here is called natural selection. And the primary focus of natural selection is to give us the best chances of survival. That's what it does. So with that in mind, if we go back in time and we revisit our ancestors, they needed to have big, powerful jaw muscles because their diet consisted of things like raw meat, nuts, roots, and overall foods that required a lot of biting force. But as we got more sophisticated as human species, we discovered things like fire, we developed tools like knives and forks, so the demand of us keeping those same jaws we once had slowly diminished. And as a result, natural selection stepped in and our jaws became smaller and weaker over time. Because if we kept the same jaws we once had, our bodies would require to waste unnecessary energy and unnecessary resources. And as I said before, our bodies are like a survival machine, which are always optimizing to give us the best chances to survive. So now let's talk about what makes the jaw muscle different compared to any other muscle in our body. So unlike a bicep or a chest or a quad, which have been always incredibly useful for our survival and have continued to adapt for size and strength, our jaw hasn't. So let's take the bicep as an example. We always use the bicep to carry things, to lift things, to climb, and so it has retained its ability to respond to hypertrophy. But if we compare it to the jaw muscle, once we changed our diet to more soft ones, it hasn't really had the need to respond to any kind of hypertrophy for thousands of years. And as a result, evolution has slowly diminished its ability to respond to hypertrophy. Now, I'm not saying it can grow at all. I'm just saying compared to other muscles in your body, it has very low potential, almost to none. But in my opinion, this is where most of the companies, like the Jawzizer, go wrong with their approach, because they try to treat the jaw muscle the same way you would treat any other muscle, like your chest, which you would do bench press for, and you would slowly over time increase the weight, increase the reps, increase the time under tension, and so on. But the jaw muscle just doesn't have the same capability of growing. It's like saying I will type in my laptop for hours and hours on end, so hopefully they get bigger. And it's the same approach. They have those different plastic balls, and they say at first you start with this light one, then you progress to the older one, and then you progress to the older one. But it simply doesn't work that way because, yeah, your jaw muscle can't really grow in size that much. So now that brings us to the question, if they know that those devices aren't really useful, then why do they promote them? So there are two answers. The first answer is that they just don't know any better and they truly believe in what they're selling. And the second one is they know that it doesn't really work, but they see a demand in the market and all they care about is making profit, which I lean more towards. Even though I like to be positive, this is the sad truth. Now, I know this might be somewhat of a negative message, and I don't want you to get discouraged because there is still something you can do. Actually, there is only one thing you can do, and that is to lose body fat. Because I'm sure, especially if you're in the fitness community, you know that every single person on planet Earth has abs. Now, some of them might have a six pack, someone might have an eight pack or a four pack, depending on their genetics. But I'm sure we can all agree upon that every single person has abs. But the only thing that is hiding it, it's their body fat. And the same applies to your jaw muscle. If you are 25% body fat, obviously you won't be able to see the definition of your jaw. So this is one approach you can take. Unfortunately, you can't really target the fat in your face, so you will have to go on a caloric deficit. And if you diet long enough for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, you would start to slowly see the difference in your jaw, and you might be surprised at what results you get. Now, another thing you can do is to reduce sodium so you don't hold as much water weight in your face, but the main approach you should take is to try and lose body fat. So yeah, that's basically my opinion about the jaw exercise in general and the approach you can take if you want to improve your jaw. I hope this video gave you a different perspective. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like that, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.